did you do?
Just trying to do the right thing.
Rick and Morty just broke its no time travel rule in the most insane way possible.
I will protect.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Jesse B. Gill, joined here by my IGN video associate and colleague, Akeem Lewonson. How's it going?
Pretty good, man.
Awesome. Today we're going to be talking about Rick and Morty, episode 5 of season 4, Rattlestar Rick Lactica. That's the name of the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, now it's time to fire up the old portal gun because we're about to get into some spoilers. Akeem, you ready for this?
Hell yeah, man.
All right,
Let's do it.
Let's get into it. Now, show creators Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland have claimed in the past that the show wouldn't use time travel directly, although it makes some references to it here and there. But this episode seems to do away with that notion in the most insane way possible. And by this, of course, I mean the full-blown Space Snake Terminator apocalypse situation that pops up in this episode, and the way that Rick and Morty directly use time travel to solve that whole conundrum. So, Akeem, what did you think of this episode, especially with the way Rick and Morty use time travel?
Well, first off, I'm going to say, like, the snakes, I feel like if we were to give snakes time travel capabilities, they clearly would abuse it. But I feel like that was just speaking, like, on us as human beings. If we were to have, like, the ability to time travel, we would just completely just abuse it. Like, every small thing, like, oh, I screwed up on my date. Let me go back in time 15 minutes and say something else.
Immediately.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yes.
I feel like that was it. But also, I got to let you know, Jesse, we didn't necessarily see Rick and Morty time travel directly. That's what I'm thinking.
See, you're disagreeing with me, which means you're incorrect. But let's go ahead and
Okay, all
let's entertain this for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain what you're saying. I say that Rick and Morty use time travel to solve the whole problem of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
You say not so. Why is that?
Well, we didn't see it.
Okay.
Right? We didn't see them actually time travel. And if you remember when they were on the Snake Planet, Rick was like, he was doing some weird thing with his mind, like he was trying to summon something.
All right. What's going on? What are you doing?
I think that's kind of what happened. See, to me, when I say that they did use time travel, that's what I'm talking about, is that at one point, there's 2 Ricks and 2 Mortys, one from the past, one from the future, and the ones from the future are saying, hey, we need you to go and do this thing. They go and do the thing, save the day, and then Rick closes the time travel loop by punching Morty in the face. We're going to pivot for a moment and talk about the Jerry storyline.
Yes, Jerry. Oh, poor Jerry.
We've been getting a lot of Jerry in this season. Why do you think that is?
Well, I feel like they really want to kind of like humanize him a little bit more and give him a little bit more of a plot development. I mean, like, he hasn't really developed as a character throughout the seasons that we've seen him in. So, like, now I feel like we're like, even like last week, him hanging out with the cat. This week, he really wanted to stand alone. He wanted to prove that he is a man,
which he did by crashing an airliner full of passengers.
I feel like the reason they did that is because, like, they didn't want to make any sort of like direct snakes on a plane references or jokes. You know, like, because I mean, they
now
did,
is their way around it?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. That and Keegan-Michael Key, he played one of those talking testicles.
Slimmy Pants here. What's up?
The dimensional
The fourth,
time
second
cops.
dimension. Yeah. He played one of them, and he was doing a, I would say, spot on Samuel L. Jackson impression.
So, and those characters we've seen before in the past. That's what happens whenever things get out of whack time-wise. But in this episode, they were the ones who had to kind of bring everything back.
Yeah.
Rick was counting on them to come through and basically solve this thing.
They totally did, yeah.
Totally.
So yeah, I totally agree with you that we've been getting a lot more of Jerry, which is awesome, and he's proving himself to like be a standalone character. But I also think, is it just me or is Rick like becoming a little bit more nice to Jerry?
I think he feels sorry for Jerry because what you're saying that we're getting more character development from Jerry, which is true.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually a bit more of what we've seen from him in prior seasons.
He is
Like in this
complete.
episode, in example, he couldn't wear shoes properly, and that's why he got into the problem that he was in. This is the guy who can't properly use a Mr. Meeseeks box either. He always has problems with everything, and this was no different. He's a bit of a loser, this Jerry. The show has been very clear about that with his character.
And it was nice though seeing him like the B plot with just him alone. Like he didn't have like a side character joining him. It was just him alone. Jerry had to carry those scenes, and I think he did a really good job with all of the interactions that he did have. Like even like his interaction with the hoopers on the b-ball court.
Right.
I'm using a lot of slang terms here for people that play basketball. But like he was
Ball is life.
Yes, he held his own in that scene. Even the scene in the
You mean
bar.
before or after he was floating away helplessly?
Here, just watch. Huh?
Help! I need that shoe! Everything that he said, they thought he was a Nazi based upon what he said.
But it's like, again, Jerry cannot help but put his foot in his mouth.
Yes. If he only kept that shoe on his foot, probably wouldn't have ended up in his mouth.
I do want to see more of Beth this season.
Yeah.
And I feel like this episode kind of lent a little bit of, I don't know, believability to that random theory that's floating around that she's a clone. Mm-hmm. I know there was a news story. You were talking to me about this earlier, correct?
Well, I mean, so Harmon, he offhandedly mentioned it in a Vanity Fair interview that Beth is a clone. But honestly, if you go back and watch the interview, I think he was trolling the audience. And I think even here with Rick mentioning that, I think it's still a troll.
Sure.
I think he's just continuing that troll mentality, because he knows there are fans of this show that are going to read too much into every single thing.
Now, there is that scene where he basically pauses Beth and then restarts her, but that's not necessarily because she's a clone or not a clone. That's because he has the remote control from the movie. What was the Adam Sandler movie with the remote control? What was that, Flip? Click. Nick got it. It's Click.
Yeah.
And Christopher Walken is in that too, and they make direct reference to that scene in this episode.
Yeah. So I mean, like, and you knowing that, like us knowing that, because there were a lot of people that didn't see that movie. So people are just going to assume, oh, she's a clone. There's the proof. Like, no, it's actually a reference to a movie. It's a reference to an Adam Sandler movie that you should probably check out. Not right now. Continue watching this first.
So Flip is definitely in the Rick and Morty universe in some
Click.
respect. Click. I keep calling it Flip. Is there a movie called Flip?
Yeah, there is.
What's it about, Nick?
It's a rom-com. It's about the boy and girl next door.
Aw.
Flip. Check it out. Final thoughts. Anything else jump out to you in this episode?
Well, I like the little attention to detail things. Like I like the fact that apparently snakes have great taste in movies. They made a snake Back to the Future. They made a snake Grease. I think that's freaking awesome. Their fashion in 1985 was impeccable. It was on point. And I'm also curious to know why that was the year why Rick chose that year to kind of give them time travel. Like, what's the significance or the relevance of 1985? What happens in 1985 that made him give them the time travel book?
And why it was necessary for that to happen at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. In terms of Easter eggs in this episode, again, the not Flip, the click remote.
Yeah.
Not a lot of there's been a lot of kind of 80s toys call outs in this season. I didn't really notice anything like that in this episode. But looks like we're gonna have to wait until next year before we get another one.
Potentially next year. We're hoping, fingers crossed, next year. Obviously we know this isn't the last episode of this season, but you guys know, we know that Adult Swim, they're notorious for just just stringing things along as far as they can. Like, we just got a few episodes this year. We may get some next year. Like, you see how long these seasons have been in between each other. Adult Swim is a different beast in and of itself. Like, they've had for example, Venture Brothers, they've had 2-3 year breaks before their next season, which is exceptionally long. Like, I understand animation takes time. It takes a lot of time and focus and dedication. Like, you have VO artists, you have, the actual people that are animating the shows. But it doesn't take, I would say roughly maybe a year and a half. But for some strange reason, there might be some other things going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of at Adult Swim that causes this to happen. Like, one of the most notorious shows for this was Aqua Teen Hunger Force, one of their longest running shows that Adult Swim has had. And they've had 2-year breaks in between before they finally got to the final season, where they changed the name throughout the entire show. It was it was Aqua Teen Hunger Force, then it was the something. They had weird names, like Aqua Teen Forever.
They definitely changed the names.
They changed it way too many times, but there was some weird reasoning behind that the director had. I don't remember it off the top of my head right now, but I don't know what's going to happen here, because this is just a break in between seasons.
Sure.
So it's likely that we might get new episodes next year, probably late next year, probably around this same time, hopefully. Otherwise, I'd say the latest would be 2021, which would suck.
I guess we will find out, but in the meantime, what did you think of Episode 5, Rattlestar Galactica? What did you think of the way they used time travel? Let us know in the comments below. Let's drive those algorithms with our discussion, shall we? Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to like and share this video, and while you're at it, check out our review of the Watchmen season finale. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow IGN wherever you like to watch.
Everyone has a Plumbus in their home.